Good afternoon, everyone. It's Saturday. That means it's Chat with Mac. We're glad to have everyone. Listen, subscribe to our channel. Let everybody know about what we're doing. We're talking about some great stuff. So for those of you that listen to us on a regular, thank you. And for those of you that are new to what we do, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good Saturday to you, Nadeem.
Yeah, awesome Saturday. So you might hear some noise in the background. There's, stuff going on, but I wanted to get this done because over the last week, an interesting thing came out, and actually it was one of our engineers who alerted me to this. And I think it'll be good to make a video on this, and it's how hackers get around MFA. Right.
Okay, that's
so now we've talked about how hackers can get around multi-factor authentication when you get it via SMS text message, right?
Right.
So that's an unencrypted channel. It's easy to do that, but we've had an instance, and I won't name any names because it's a pretty well-known company that got into this. So here's a scenario. Let me give you the scenario of it. A system got hacked, even though the system had MFA, but bad people got full access to the system. How did that happen? So the question really is, if it had MFA, how did people get around MFA?
Yeah.
And what they used was really something very simple. So when you log in, and we'll take the example of Office 365, right? Because a lot of people use Office 365 out there, Microsoft 365 cloud technologies. It is recommended that you use MFA, and a lot of people do have MFA enabled in Office 365. So how can somebody get around this? So when you log into the web, you probably have heard about something called cookies. Right. So when you log in, what the browser does is it saves a session cookie on your machine. Now, once this session cookie is saved on your machine, you just need that session cookie to be able to authenticate to the other side that you have a valid session. So if you can get a hold of somebody's session cookie, you just bypass everything. Because the other side is going to think you are a valid connection. You are an established connection. So all of a sudden, one little thing can give you easy access around all kinds of passwords, MFAs, whatever you have. I mean, you can have a YubiKey where it generates a random number that you have to type in everything. All that is bypassed because that session key has everything you need. Now, wow. In this specific example, what the bad guys did was they sent a file and an email infected with a PDF attachment, and that attachment was actually an executable. When a person on the team opened this PDF file, they didn't think much of it. They opened the PDF file. They were like, oh, it's a bogus PDF. They closed out and went about their business. Their machine did not give them any adverse behavior. Nothing changed. They didn't even think about it until the bad guys gained full access to their system. And that's when some of the other parties in the office, some of the other people in the office started noticing that, things are happening that shouldn't be happening, should not be possible. So, of course, everybody was kind of looking at, did somebody not have their account enabled with MFA, or how did somebody get the password, or they were looking at the wrong place. All the bad guys did was they sent an infected PDF file that picked up the session cookies off that machine, and they used that session cookie to authenticate and get around the MFA. Such an easy way to get around MFA. All you have to do is just a little bit of social engineering, get somebody to double click on that PDF or whatever file you want to call it, right? Open that file, grab the session cookies, away you go. Now you have full access. And this actually happened to a company that is in the IT business.
Oh, that's even worse. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does that happen? Specifically to the IT people. Now, the person who opened that PDF was not in IT. He was one of the graphics guys. But the thing is, an IT company got hacked, even though all their accounts had MFA. And the bad guys got around that MFA. And of course, all the high-end techie people were thinking they were going in the wrong direction. They were trying to figure out, how did somebody break MFA? Nobody had to break MFA. They didn't touch MFA. They just stole the session cookie. Easy.
Okay. Now I have a ton of questions now, because this is so okay. So this goes back to something that I know that we were advocating for a while back, when we were doing phishing exercises, teaching people not to click on just any email. All right, great, but is this the first instance of this happening? And is there a fix? Because it's like, damn.
Yeah. So this is, the proof of concept for this was done a while back. It's just this is the first time that I've seen it in the real world, an attack actually using something like this, right? And how do you prevent against that? The one option is that we disable all session cookies. That's not practical, because if we disable all session cookies, then every time you open a browser and try to go to a certain website or a certain portal, it is going to ask you for your username, password, and multi-factor authentication every time. That's not practical, right? Mm-hmm. So the other thing is that we make sure that we train everybody around security. And that's what this company was not doing. So of course, after this happened, all the IT people got together and they were like, yeah, we as IT people know what to do and not to open these things, but there are other staff in the office who have nothing to do with IT, the graphics people, the directors, all these other people. And so they implemented a routine security training across the company to prevent things like this, because this is a basic thing. Hey, if you're not expecting a file from somebody and somebody sends you a file, even if you open that file, you let somebody know that you opened a file, but it was a bogus file, whatever, so they can check if something was taken from your machine, because that's what happened in this case. Somebody had tricked somebody to launch a file. All that file did was send the session cookies, and in this case, the file sent all session cookies from that machine to the bad guys. So the bad guys could get access to all kinds of things that you may not even have thought about, right? And then they started doing bad things, but the thing is, training is crucial.
Yeah.
I mean, we in IT sometimes get a little complacent. We start thinking, well, we're IT people, we know better. But that's not the point. The point is there are always other people in an organization that have nothing to do with IT, even if you're an IT company, right? So, we have accountants, we have bookkeepers, we have all kinds of people, scheduling people, things like that. So always make sure that you do security training for all your staff, that you track it. Now, fortunately for us, we're in a good place because we went through our SOC 2 audit. So we have to have these things in place. We have to routinely keep track of training and which people have taken training, which people have gone through phishing exercises and things like that. So we have to keep track of that. But there's a lot of MSPs out there that are not SOC 2 audited. They have nothing like this in place. They don't have the policies and procedures. And, this kind of resonated with me because I always thought, well, all these compliance stuff is just a lot of bureaucratic work. But at the end of the day, something like this would have absolutely saved this company if they had these policies and procedures and tracking and a cadence of security things in place that they didn't have.
And it kind of goes back to something that, every time I call someone, I ask them, right before the end of a conversation, I ask them, when was the last time your, IT company, your third-party provider, your guys did an incident response exercise, for something like this, being able to know what to do, who's responsible for what. And it's amazing the number of people are like, I don't even know what that is. Imagine if they did. Now, they're an IT company. I'm actually kind of surprised, but let's kind of go outside of that for a regular company that this happens to, and they're like, we have no clue. The CEO has no clue what to do. He's left it all to his IT guy. But, even at the very basic level, you as a CEO should be like, okay, this is what I know my role is in this. I have a little bit of, knowledge based on this, and a lot of companies don't have that.
Yeah. And you bring an interesting point. It's not the job of just IT.
Yeah.
Right. Every role in the company has a job to do when it comes to securing the company, from the front end all the way to the back end, all the way to the top, to the CEO, from the front people who, just do data entry. Right. Because at the end of the day, this is the front line of defense. Like when somebody opened that PDF file, had they gone through an exercise like that, they would know that they opened that PDF and the PDF was just blank, or it just flashed something, nothing happened. That should be a red flag for them. But it wasn't, because they have never been through anything like this. They haven't been through an incident response, a role play or exercise. They have not had any training. They've never been through training. Nobody told them, hey, this is how things can happen. So they closed up that file and they thought, oh, well, okay, somebody just sent me something. It didn't work. I'm going to go about my business. Not realizing that they had just opened the door to bad guys to take over a lot of what their company was doing. I mean, this was huge, and it was an IT company in the media industry, so this was big. I mean, it was a direct hit to the bottom line. Good so Lord. The thing is, make sure that your security protocols are in place. You're doing exercises on a routine basis, and you're not just leaving it to IT. You cannot defer your responsibility when it comes to security to somebody else, another department. Like a CEO has a role to play when it comes to the company's security. A CEO cannot just shove it off on some other role in the company and just wash their hands of it. Because what happens when there is an incident? What's going to happen is the CEO has to respond, and he's the one who's going to be the front line. The CEO is going to need to be the one to talk to the vendors, the customers, the people whose maybe data, personal information got stolen in an incident. They're not going to want to know, oh, well, my IT guy, talk to my IT guy. No, the CEO is going to want to do that. Now, the other side of thing is, if there is a breach, if your people don't know what to do, let's say if there's a breach, somebody gets infected with something and then they start cleaning up because they saw stuff happening, so they started cleaning up. Well, that's a bad spot to be in, because when they start cleaning up, they may be cleaning up the evidence of the attack, which your cyber insurance providers are going to want to see.
Yeah.
If they see that there is evidence that somebody was trying to clean things up, that could be construed as people trying to hide stuff.
Yeah.
Is there really a third-party hack here, or did they do something themselves, or you may end up just getting rid of the evidence. Now there's no evidence pointing that anything bad ever happened. It's just missing data. Well, but maybe that data never existed. You're claiming it's missing data and it's worth $1 million. Is it really? There's nothing there.
Oof, that's bad.
So it's just some things to think about. I think we'll leave everybody with that. Think about, do you have routine things in place when it comes to security, trainings, incident response exercises? There's a lot of stuff. Your people should know what to do if they suspect something bad happening. Yeah. Every role in the company should know what to do.
Yep.
Don't try to figure out when the bad thing is happening in the middle of it. That's the worst thing you want to do, is try to figure out, okay, my house is on fire. What do I do now? You should automatically know what to do. That's why we do the exercises, right? You should automatically know what to do. It should be it should be muscle memory. You shouldn't have to think about it, right?
And like Nadeem always says, it's not a matter of if a breach is going to happen. It's a matter of when it happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think we'll call it a day with that. I hear some background noise. People are getting rowdy out there. But everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.